We are developing an AI tool that if you send in the resume, I can vet that resume down to the T. Then an AI agent will call and say, "Hi, I'm Eddie Bright. I am the AI agent for ApTask. When are you available to do an interview?" So by the time that score is done, it goes to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager just has to call you and say, "You were absolutely amazing. When can you start?"
Right. What mindset do the next generation of leaders, what mindset should they have, honestly?
Welcome back, everyone. We are here at L.I.T Chicks, and we've got Eddie Bright Jr. with us. And Alicia, you want to welcome to everybody?
Welcome to another season of L.I.T Chicks. And I'm so excited for this next guest that's coming on. I will allow Eddie to introduce himself.
Well, thank you. I'm Eddie Bright Jr. I am the Global Chief Executive Officer of ApTask Global. We like to brag. We believe that we are the nation's premier African-American owned, veteran certified global staffing and workforce solution provider.
Hey, Eddie, so you know what? This is so great that you're on, because part of our give back is really helping the next generation of leaders in tech. And you said that you're global staffing, and I know that you have to hit tech, right? So
Absolutely. 84%. Yeah, 84% of the talent that we place globally is technology based. Now, we like to brag that we work off 4 power skills: IT, engineering, accounting, finance, HR, and I'll add a 6th, procurement. And the reason why the other 4 stand out aside from engineering and IT is because they all live off the technology stack. So accounting, finance, HR, procurement. Everything is defined by its technology. So even if you're looking for the best accountant in the world, they need to absolutely know the technologies, the tools, the methodologies, and they're all grounded in the technology. So we're a technology recruiting firm.
So on that front, you know, I just came back from a Davos-like conference for tech, a Davos-like conference for tech. And AI was the number one topic. So in the world that you're working in with staffing, if you're doing 84% of the staffing in tech, what are you seeing? How is the AI skills and the AI experience coming into the needs for staffing for the customers that you're serving and the clients you're serving?
Well, you know what? It's funny that we're talking about AI up front, because I found that there are 2 different camps. There's the camp that is scared to death and not really sure how to use AI. And there's the camp that is all over it. And they're not only not frightened by AI, but their whole driver is to be AI enablers, not just to use it. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm using AI and I'm using it to write letters, or I wrote a paragraph and I hit, can AI do it better? And AI came up with something which is a little bit more witty.
Right.
But there's a whole camp of entities, corporations, executives that are so on top of AI that they're the ones that are what I call AI enablers. Like, they're not talking about how we use AI. They're telling you how you're going to use it. And I think my biggest concern, and one of my biggest concerns, especially for our community, is that we don't just think we know something, but that we become very conscious of how we use it and enable it to drive others. The one thing I like about, especially just us as African Americans, is that when we learn something and we truly are in a position of executive leadership, we're very conscious of how we lift others up. There are those that are making AI and their only mantra is, how can I sell it? How can I get other people to use it? And obviously, how can I make money on it?
Right.
So I think we have a much more holistic approach. So 2 camps. Scared to death, I'm going to lose my job. Oh, Lord, I'm going to lose my job. Jesus. And the other camp that is saying, well, I'm so well ingrained in this, I'm driving how other people are using it. I always have a saying, and Fern, you've heard me say it a million times. He who knows how will always have a job. He who knows why will be his boss.
Yep.
We have to look at AI and the why. Everything that we do right now, if it's going to keep us ahead of that curve, is us looking at the why. Why am I using it? Why is it important? Why was it created? I mean, simple questions, but they open up a whole broader dashboard for you, if you will.
So let me double click on one thing, and then I'll turn it over to you, Alicia. We at this conference, they were talking about, the replacement of AI jobs and people being fearful of it. And the resounding perspective was AI is not going to replace your role and your opportunity. It's the people using AI. And that speaks right to the point of those who are all over it and figure out how it can enable versus those who are scared to death of it. So I think we've got to break it down. Leaders have to break it down to its simplest form on how to get engaged with it, because you can be the end user, using Perplexity, using Canva, using Claude AI, who's my boyfriend. He's not exclusive, but I wish he would be, but he's not. Or you could be the developer, right? So you could have several different ways, but you've got to get in it. So AI is, we talked about just scratching the surface with AI, and it's. I feel like it's this. I liken it to when the internet started. That's how massive it's going to be in our society.
Well, but there are some real concerns, Fern, and we all know this here at 2 Lit Chicks. We have 5 different generations in the workplace. Mm-hmm. Each generation looks at technology differently. I'm a boomer. As a matter of fact, I had someone call me a boomer the other day and insulted me. I thought they were like, "Yo, boomer." I was like, "Whoa." But they were like, "Yo, old guy, get away." I used to think OG meant, original gangster. It means old guy. I had to find that out too. But the concern is, generationally, I'm still moving somewhat from analog to digital.
Right.
I really am. I mean, I go back to 8-track tapes and hard records, and so it's been a challenge. And then we've got Generation Z, who like to think that they're on top of AI. Mm-hmm. The challenge is those that are AI enablers are way past them already. Generation Alpha is about to come into the workplace in 2 years. They've had virtual their entire lives. Try telling them that they need to come into your place of business 5 days a week. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Wait a second, Eddie. That's a real conversation, because a lot of companies are moving back to total in the office. And I think that until those Gen Zers are in positions of leadership to change that mantra, I don't know. I think that's going to be a tough one for the alphas coming into work, not being able to work 5 days a week. We'll land in the middle, but I don't know. I'm seeing the pendulum swung, right, with the pandemic, and now the pendulum's trying to swing back. I don't know if it's going to swing all the way back and stick, but we'll see. What do you think, Alicia?
That's a challenge. Mm-hmm. It's a challenge because the power skills that we talked about in IT, engineering, accounting, finance, HR, procurement. Okay, so if you want me to come into the office and I'm not to, there's 4 other companies that'll tell me that I don't have to. And then you've got a whole generation. We know Gen Z is going to be 54% of the workforce within the next, I believe it's 26 months. They will control the majority of the workforce. And a Gen Zer, he believes that he can be on his phone and be the CEO of a company. As a matter of fact, we don't even call Gen Zers teenagers. We call them screenagers. Because if you can't get them here, you can't get them.
You can't get them.
So if I've had this my entire life, I'm able to order food. I'm able to turn on my lights. I'm able to control how much water is going in my shower when I shower. I'm able to tell it, "Hey, Siri, book me a trip to Spain, and I'm leaving on these dates, and tell me the best restaurants to eat, and plan my restaurants, and set my reservation at those restaurants while I'm going from Barcelona to Mallorca."
Right.
How are you going to tell me to sit in this? Okay. How are you going to get me to come sit in your office? And guess what? I went to college for economics and technology. It's going to be tough. Mm-hmm. So first of all, we've got to be those young people that went to college for that. That's the first thing. Every young person that I speak to, no matter where I am, first of all, I like to ask some old skills. What book have you read recently? Because there's a discipline to reading a book. Right. Then I ask, what courses are you studying? What do you want to do with your life? And no matter if they tell me they want to go play basketball, I tell them to get as many AI courses in as they can, to try to just keep them ahead of the curve. Right. There's a real challenge for us there, because we also have to remember that technology is not created for us, whether we believe that or not. We, as African Americans, are the, and this is, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but we are the largest consumers in the world. We contribute almost $3 trillion to the U.S. economy alone. And here's the bad part about that. We also control over $8 trillion in debt. So things are created for us to buy. I got to have an iPhone 17. I got to have a 17.
Right.
It's the newest thing out. So we have a whole mindset to understand. And the entire world lives off technology right now. So there are some challenges, and I'm sure we will rise to those challenges. And what you and Alicia are doing is critically important. It's critical important. You speak in that zone of genius around technology. You both have accomplished careers, and what you're doing is critically important for not just the next generation, this generation, because unless we get it here, we can't pass it on. So.
Eddie, I have a question for you. Can you share, especially for our listeners, can you share more about your journey and how you got started and what experiences shaped your path to where you are today?
Sure. And thank you for the question, Alicia. I'll start with my superpower. My superpower is gratitude. So everything that for most of my adult life I have gone into with a true spirit of being grateful. Grateful for the people that have invested in me. Grateful for the people, this old saying, have taken a liking to me. I got into this place truly by accident. I was a radio announcer for many years. And
I couldn't tell. I really couldn't tell.
Yeah, well, I was.
I mean, was it BLS or was it? I mean,
no, it was at Kiss FM.
Oh,
Kiss FM had a show.
Kiss FM.
More music, less talk. So, I had an agent who called me one day, and she said, "Eddie, there's this guy out of a company called McKinsey and Company." Okay, I don't know McKinsey and Company, and he's starting this company, and he took this list of clients, and he would like for you to create a script. And I've done a lot of voiceovers and commercials. I said, sure. And so I met with this gentleman. His name was Lloyd Rossler. He had just left McKinsey and Company in New York. And he said, listen, I need you to create a script. And I've got this list of clients, and I want you to call them from A to Z, and I want you to set appointments for me. And I was like, well, Lloyd, what am I talking about? He says, well, there's this thing called technology consultants. And I want you to call them and just set appointments for me. Set appointments for me. And he said, listen, you don't have to know anything about technology, but I will teach you technology. And this is back in the day of mainframes and client server had just came out. So that tells you how far back this was. And I think the generation of Fortran and BASIC, and all that had sort of moved on. He said, it'll take you a while before you even get to meet people or to build relationships, but I want you to create. So I created a script, and the first thing was I started setting all these great appointments. And then he said, I'll take you on an appointment. He said, but you won't get a client for a while. Literally from the time I created the first script, made phone calls, I landed a client in 11 days.
Oh, wow.
This is 1996.
That was a hustle.
11 days. Tom Mangano, which Fern, you may have heard me mention him a million times. Dear friends now. We travel together, things like that. His wife and my wife. The rest is history. Within 18 months, I had outgrown Lloyd in terms of my income based on the deal. And so I'm looking at radio, and I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at radio, and I'm looking like this. I'm like, well, this is paying a lot more than what I'm getting doing news, weather, and sports at the top of the hour for 5 hours a day. And I started with a company called Solomon Page. I was doing IT staffing in the first hooray of what they call IT consultants. You got to remember, there was a mindset to move from perm to IT consultancy. And the rest is history. I have, Alicia, I've been always conscious of not just being grateful, but wanting to be the best. And what's funny about Fern and I relationship, we met in a group that people came into this fellowship because we were the only ones in the room.
Right.
So for 20-something years, and now almost close to 30 years, wherever I have been fortunate enough to lead as a manager or to become a manager, I've always just wanted to be the best. I've always believed in investing in myself. understanding the industry, knowing my clients better than they know themselves, even if it's just the first sales call, really investing in that. I'm not trying to be the guy that's trying to sell you something. I always want to be the guy that has very dynamic value propositions. And then I'm mindful of one thing: no matter who I'm talking to, no matter who gives me the opportunity to, or the chance to be of service, the most important thing I'm mindful of is that it's my goal to help you make more money. If I can help you make more money, I have a chance. So you asked leadership, how did I get here? I was top salesman at Solomon Page. I was recruited to become the chief sales officer for an organization. The chief executive officer of that particular company left. The company that I'm back at now left after about a year and a half. And once again, because I became somewhat of a significant earner, he thought the company was going to fail. I grew that company from $14 million to $72 million. I became the chief executive officer after 17 months after he left. And I've been in that CEO suite ever since. I was recruited by a private equity group to come in and run 3 of their companies. I said no to the original offer. They then came back and said, build your own brand. We've got $2 billion. And where I am now, back here at ApTask Global, that former founder who I left gave me an offer I couldn't refuse to come back. I came back in May of 2023 with all of the things that I should have had the first time in terms of equity and leadership and control and influence. And we have grown a very significant brand. ApTask Global Workforce, we have grown in 2 years with a lot of companies, and I'm bragging, but it's true. We have grown in 2
It's a
years.
proud moment.
Well, listen, we have grown in 2 years what entities 10 times our size can't do in 20 years. We've got 40 of the most significant, iconic brands in the world working with us as client partners. I'm about to make a move, and I'll share it here, where I'm buying out that partner, literally buying him out. The LOIs have been agreed to. I've got a significant investment group, and their whole goal is for Eddie, for you to come in and to take this company where it's never been before. So,
Can you explain what you do and why should anybody care?
we place talent. Every great organization is defined by its talent, period, full stop. No matter how great a company you think you are, there are certain things that you must have. First of all, I call it zone of genius. You must have genius working for you. Now, what does that mean? You must have people that are passionate about what they do. You must have people that are constantly investing in not only what you do, why you do it. You've heard me say a few times already about the why you do what you do. You must always, as an organization, understand what your end goal is. And then number 4, and this is the 4th principle I always like to use, do you know how your competition does it? You put those 4 things together, then you can be what I call dynamic as a company if you're operating from that. The reason why people do business with ApTask Global is, as I said earlier, we understand talent that's going to have impact and not just be cultural ads. They're going to fit into your culture in such a way that they're going to move the company forward. Companies are defined by their culture. Secondly, we represent inclusivity. People, nowadays, Alicia, DEI, we're against DEI. DEI is bad. We don't want it. Companies that really are making money, they may not be interested in DEI, but there's 2 things that they are interested in. They're interested in ROI.
Right.
And we bring the type of talent to you that can affect ROI. And then number 2, being inclusive. Companies, Alicia, that are inclusive are 21 to 46% more profitable. That's the bottom line. If I want your dollar, I better have people that represent, understand you, live like you, understand how you spin,
Right.
talking, and it behind the curtain, helping me get your dollar. Period. Full stop. Secondly, we understand leadership because we have a spirit of service with leadership that is second to none amongst Black leaders. Period. And we've seen that. Now, we all know there's been some pushback. I don't want to get political, but, Obama he set the record straight. He set it straight.
Right.
His leadership, his spirit of service, his brilliance, his genius will never be matched. I don't care who you put in that office. It'll never be matched because he understood that, and he had the right people around him that understood that. So why should people do business with ApTask Global? We get it. We're constantly investing in ourselves as a company. You as a client, Alicia, we're constantly investing in you. Constantly investing in you. If Alicia runs a certain company practice, we spend more time understanding what you do, once again, why you do it, what is the end result, how your competition does it. So if I'm having that type of conversation with you, and then I've got my Gen Z leader talking about how we provide talent from Gen Z, and I've got Dr. Yvette Pegues talking about how we can get you people from the disability and neurodivergent community, and I've got Dr. Raheem Beach talking to you about courageous leadership and storytelling and how that'll impact what you do, then if you're a prospective client, you're going to look at us and say, let's give them a shot. They already checked too many boxes. And the fact that we're veteran certified. So, if we need the little hooks, the fact that we're veteran certified and we're global and we can compete against all your big boys that are in there, no matter who they are. We can compete against them. And we have a deeper sense of quality in terms of the talent we provide. We're usually given a chance. In the 2.5 years now that I've been back here, we haven't had many people do the smile dance and, well, Ed, it was great that you reached out and, hey, we're going to be doing an RFP in 2037 and we're going to get you in. We don't get that. We don't get that.
So, Eddie, talk to me about your Gen Z staffing initiative. So you kind of touched on it, but you have really leaned into taking a younger population and working with them to go out and do staffing so that when your clients are looking at ApTask Global, they're seeing not just the OGs, but this younger generation in positions of influence to help them. So talk a little bit about that program and why you thought it was important to get that off the ground.
Fern, is a great question because I didn't know how dynamic it would be getting into it. I was invited to come speak as a Black CEO at Westside High School in Newark, New Jersey. And I took that as an honor. The principal of that high school, and you may have seen him, his name is Principal Akbar Cook. That's the high school that Oprah Winfrey gave $1 million to, and Ellen DeGeneres. So they asked me to come in and speak as the Black CEO of a global company. I was impressed with what he had did in 7 years. If you remember the story, kids were getting killed. He started something during the summer nights where they could come in from 6 to 10 so he could stop a lot of the drive-by killings and things that were happening there in Newark. He also had teachers decide to stay. They weren't leaving anymore. He was an evangelist. He just turned the school around. So much so that each year he was graduating over 20 young people a year with associate degrees out of high school.
Wow.
That's the turnaround. This school, which was the worst high school in the state of New Jersey, was now one of the best. So I was impressed. So I said, you know what? Give me a few of your kids, a few of your graduates. This was last year. And I'll get them workforce ready. So what did I mean by that? Social etiquette, how to work in the workplace, how to understand maybe applications they didn't know, and to teach them a little bit about recruiting, because recruiting is the type of skill, if you learn it, it opens up your world to how to deal with folks. If you're calling people about their jobs, it opens up your world. So we started it. I did it as a ministry. In my heart, it was a ministry. We're successful. I've got a few dollars. Let's make. And I had people coming in, people like Fern. And what really became dynamic was I didn't have successful people coming in talking about their success. I had successful people coming in talking about when they failed, when they dropped out of school, when she was pregnant and had to drop out of school but turned it around. I had one gentleman coming, how he got in trouble for fighting, another one how he got kicked out of the military, but they turned it around. So I made it a real life feel to it.
I love that.
At the same time, I began to get information from McKinsey and Company about the 5 different generations and how the next generation would be these young people. So the two sort of came together. And then I began to realize, how they've had technology all their lives. And then what was really dynamic, we took three of them. They became what we call career advocates recruiters. And I put them up on three different clients to talk to that I thought would really be impressed by them. The first was Meta.
Okay.
And
Meta.
Megan and her team said, we want ApTask not now, right now. Right. So much so that she said, hey, we'd like to invest and create another cohort because it was so I stayed around companies like that. And the next was Prudential, which is based in Newark, and it became a social celebration. Here's a school that's right up South Orange Avenue. You follow what I'm saying? So there was a relevance to these young people, and it just took off. It just took off. So
is this one of your proudest moments? Proudest initiatives?
Yes. Yeah, because there's a love to it, and we've had times, and I'll share this. When we first started, we used our big conference room here in our office space, and I would sit there and I would look at them, and I broke down one time because I had a younger brother who died some years back, and I looked at them and I saw myself with my little brother. And I just started bawling. And thank God, our kids have a lot of love in them. They're not given the credit for the kindness that they have in them, and especially if they trust you. And so I was very real with them. And whenever I'd go in and I'd spend a half a day, I was very, very real, about what life is about, what it takes, how you have to look at the world, how you have to put in the work. There's no replacement for the work. You've got to be the first one in, the last one out. You've got to want this. And it took off so much so, Fern, and this, Chris Cuomo had me on his show twice to talk about this. Right. Brett Barr came in with his team from Fox Business. News 12 has been in here multiple times. CNBC, different entities have come in just to celebrate and if you see them, you could even Google it. If you Google Eddie Bright, Chris Cuomo, or Gen Z News 12, they did some real thorough exposés on this program. And so I'm proud, but I'm grateful.
Awesome.
I'm grateful.
Awesome.
Eddie, I have a question for you. This is, of course, I'm trying to think like a young person right now. I think I'm a little young, but I'm getting there. What would you say the most demanding IT career that you see now? And then what would you say the most demanding career will be in the future?
We try to stay ahead of the curve, Alicia. Everything right now is so much just AI. Because, because so many people want it, they don't know how to use it. They're scared. They don't know what it means to their ecosystem. They're still learning how to benefit from it. Where's the money making aspect of it? Who's going to be affected in my ecosystem? All those questions are still being asked. They're still being asked. And so it just seems to be the two letters of the day, AI. They just seem
what
to
should
be.
The young people be majoring in? Like, what should they be studying right now?
Oh, absolutely. Anything with AI that has to do with finance.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with money. Anything with AI that has to do with money. That's exactly where because here's the funny part. You mentioned developers earlier. Developers are about to lose their job. AI is going to be doing the development. People don't think about that. AI is going to be doing the development. They already have AI that can do the development, that can do the codes, the bits, the bytes, everything, and produce it. AI, we think about, well, you've got to make sure it's quality. AI can do QA.
Right.
It can do QA. But the one thing AI can't replace, or it can help streamline, because people use AI to invest. So we want to have AI around finance. You follow what I'm saying? Anything that has to do with money and AI, you want to be on top of it. I'll say this too, entertainment. And I'm not talking about being an athlete. I'm talking about the aspect of entertainment. Okay, look how big gambling is.
Right.
That's an aspect of entertainment. As a matter of fact, there are three things that govern America as we know it: religion, entertainment, and money. Those three things we live by. They drive everything we do. believe it or not. So,
So, I'll feed onto that one a little bit. At this conference I was just at, we were talking about, how there are like a two in the box on skills, and they're talking with students, and these are major organizations, think Fortune 1000. And they said, hey, it's not just about learning AI or learning MIS or CIS or computer sciences, but it's matching, to your point, tech and finance, or tech and R&D, or tech and marketing. So it's tech plus learning, so that you can bring and marry those two together, because everything is technology embedded to enable the business. And so these leaders were saying, hey, as they're mentoring kids going into college, it's, yes, learn the technology, but then also learn either finance or another area, because those two are going to have to merge together. So it's an interesting dynamic in how learning and what to learn right now is changing, and how the skill set for today is not going to be the skill set for tomorrow with how AI is coming along.
I'll throw this in too, because I think it's important. One of the top three that I used to think governs America was politics. Mm-hmm. I hope that we take the politics down, because that is affecting a lot of what we do too. We have groups that are voting have literally voted against their own interest.
Right.
And technology is not stopping. Mm-hmm. So if I'm sitting here as a massive part of this country, right, and I'm not conscious of what's next with technology, that's going to have me feel even further left behind. Mm-hmm. Part of the resentment that's coming from various entities in America right now is because they feel left behind.
Right.
They feel left behind. Well, imagine once AI really takes hold and you haven't invested in it. I had a problem yesterday with day before yesterday with the washer in our home. And I thought I was talking to a human being and didn't realize till I heard the drag that I was talking to an AI agent. Right. I was talking to an AI entity. But they did everything. The technician showed up, everything yesterday, everything went smoothly. But I swore all along I was talking. Now, you can sort of tell when it's an AI voice. Even in our field, in recruiting, we are developing an AI tool that if you send in the resume, I can vet that resume down to the T and even look at the biases. Maybe the name could be a bias. Right. Okay? Then an AI agent will call and say, hi, I'm Eddie Bright. I am the AI agent for ApTask. When are you available to do an interview? At your convenience. Then we'll do the interview. You and I, Alicia, will do this interview, and my AI agent and the tool can tell how many times you looked away from the screen. Right. It can measure your biometrics. It can tell whether you've got whether you're using something off to the side to get answers, and then I create an entire score for you. Mm-hmm. So by the time that score is done, it goes to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager just has to call you and say, "Hey, Alicia, you were absolutely amazing. I understand you're looking for this and that and this in your background. I just want to verify a few things. When can you start?" Right. End to end. So there's so many things in so many areas that we have to be conscious of. Now, that sounds wonderful, right? Great tool. But how does that sound to a company that has 50 recruiters who all day are calling candidates? Mm-hmm. So depends on how I look at things as a boss, because we keep saying AI is going to help you do your job better. Well, if I can have this tool that can go through 25,000 resumes in 36 minutes and vet down the top 10 and then do these AI voice to screen interviews the next day, do I need 50 recruiters?
No.
So what are you saying about the field of recruitment then? How do you think AI is going to impact recruitment? Like the field, the human resource?
Deeply. It will slash it by 70% eventually. By 70%.
But there's still going to be a need for some human interaction. I think
there's no question about the human factor. We call it the human factor. You can't. But what is the human factor? Is the human factor when I, as the hiring manager, or as someone, as a recruiter that's left over, has the score, has everything, And now I hand it over to the hiring manager. I tell the hiring manager up in the chief information officer, I got you your next VP of IT.
Well, and you'll get that person quicker because and your candidate pool is now widened so much. So yeah.
The bottom line is, Fern, if I'm a chief procurement officer, the only thing I'm worried about is faster, cheaper, better. I'm a chief procurement officer. If I'm a chief procurement officer, by the way, I'm the guy that controls the why.
Right.
I tell you why we spend money over here. And if the justification is I got a greater ROI, faster, cheaper, better, and guess what? I'm a chief procurement officer. I get my $1 million bonus by how many millions I save.
Right.
So what mindset then for our next generation of leaders, Eddie, because really we're talking two different things. We're talking from the field of recruitment, the recruiters, but then we're also talking about the next generation of people that are getting ready to come into the job market.
That's correct.
What mindset do the next generation of leaders that are getting ready to come into the job market, what mindset should they have, honestly?
They should have a sense of what's important, what people need to know to do business, what technologies produce the greatest ROI, and we've talked about it. So here's a few areas that I think are important. Technology and healthcare, not going anywhere.
Okay.
Got to have it. People are more stressed out and getting sicker and dying quicker than ever before. Unfortunately, it's technology and entertainment. We mentioned about it. We want to be entertained. We're America. We want to be entertained. I'll give you a perfect example. If I was here saying, well, thank you very much, Alicia, for the time today. This was a great interview. People are going to be like, turn that off.
Dry, no dry. We want to keep it
passion, little animated, very passionate, engaged.
Right.
People will watch for an hour. It's important. And giving out important information, technology and entertainment. A field that's hard to get into, but we've got to start thinking about it, is technology and aerospace.
Wow.
Here's another one. This business isn't going anywhere. Technology and defense.
Yep.
Not going anywhere. There's a fight to see who can destroy who quicker.
Right, exactly. Technology is cybersecurity, not going away.
Not going anywhere.
Cybersecurity, not going away.
Technology and law enforcement.
Yeah.
I can name a whole bunch of areas where if you're ahead of the curve, you're going to be employed for a long, long time. But watch this. Here's a couple of other areas. The artisan skills, electricians, HVAC, construction, not going anywhere. Now, technology is helping. Drones, all different types of things are helping you put buildings up quicker. But you still got to lay those wires. Robots aren't going to get in there and lay those wires. They aren't going to go in there and create the heating and ventilation and air conditioning system. I had a young man that I offered a job that was part of one of my Gen Zs. I wanted to see if I could get a fourth one. He said, and he interviewed here with his father in my office, and I knew he was going to take the job. And Stevan was wonderful. He emailed me yesterday and said, Mr. Bright, I'm going to take the electrician role.
What? Stop.
He said, I'm going to take it.
On that one, help me. What was the rationale there?
Because number one, he's doing it through a company that will put him in a union, and he'll be able to make money for the rest of his life, and he'll have a pension. And his father was in that union.
Okay.
Not mad at him. I told him when he sat with me, I said, Stevan, I love you. Because he told me about the opportunity. I said, but I want you to do something that you're going to love, because you won't consider it work. Old school. Isn't that old school advice? But it's the truth.
No.
It's the truth.
I agree.
But those are just some of the skills that are out there. And then, here's the great thing about the information age that we live in. You can go on Google and ask, what are the 10 best jobs for the next 20 years? Now, it's a matter of whether you're going to put in the time to become. I mean, doctors, we talked about it, healthcare and medicine, doctors. And one of my nephews is a doctor, and he talks about Epic and the different technologies that are out there that he has to use to do his job.
Right.
So those are just some of them, Alicia, that are going to be out there.
So, Eddie, I know we're getting down to the last few minutes here, but I would be
Already, Fern? What?
Oh, what? I know
What?
we can talk forever.
Yeah, we could.
I do want to touch on this because I'd like to hear from both yourself and Alicia on this. And I'm looking at the United States Marine Corps, which is behind you, which means that's the foundation of how you were built and how you operate.
Amen.
And Alicia also was in the Air Force. And so I'd like to hear from both of you. And I'll start with you, Alicia, around how the armed forces can prepare, because remember, our audience is the next generation, and going through the armed forces is a pathway. So can you talk about how the armed forces prepared you for where you are today? Start with you, Alicia, and then we'll head over to Eddie.
Yeah, really, for me, basic training was a game changer. Because of the fact that, and this was back in the 90s, of course, when I joined the military. But basic training gave me there was a movie I was watching on Netflix. I cannot think of the name of it. But just that boot camp, it really reestablished my mindset because you had to really undo everything that you had learned. And so now paying attention to details was a big deal because what they taught us, number one, was service before self. And then number two, if you don't pay attention to the detail, it could cost your fellow man their life.
That's right.
And so I think, that has such a huge impact on me. I still am very detail oriented even today. I was a minority, meaning in gender, in the Air Force. So really working in a male dominant field, which I, is still in a male dominant field. So really having the aspects of navigating that field. So those are literally three areas that I can just think of off the top of my head that impact and shape me. Service before self, paying attention to details, and then operating in a male dominant field, which all three of them are still very important today. And I still operate in all three of them.
And
Eddie, how about you?
Yeah, Alicia, first of all, thank you for your service. I come from a family of Marines. Father, all my uncles, everyone was a Marine. So I was the first one that had a chance to be an officer in the United States Marine Corps. The one thing that service has always given me, America is the greatest country in the world, bar none, second to none. There's no place like America. I also understand, and I think this has become an issue of national security, and we don't understand this because you can be who you are and do what you want to do in America, and that's great, and God has blessed us that way, but freedom ain't free.
No.
And there are those that have gone before who gave their lives for us to do our thing, do your thing, do what you want to do, and everything. But freedom ain't free. So my military service gave me a sense of first one in, last one out.
Okay.
First one in, last one out. Fern, you know this. You can call me 6 o'clock in the office. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting right here.
Right.
I'm sitting right here.
Well, that's the mantra of early bird gets the worm, right? So,
and everybody else gets dirt. That's right. That's right. I also understood something from my commanding officer. He gave me something, Major Bolin. He said, Eddie, you got to decide as an officer whether you want to be a sheep or you want to be a shepherd. He said, now the shepherd has a love for their sheep, but you got to decide whether you want to be a sheep or you want to be a shepherd. And he changed my life. He really changed my way of thinking. So there's nothing like service. It takes away a lot of what you think you can't do, because if you think you can't do it, you won't do it anyway. But there's an understanding you get through service that nothing is impossible. Nothing. There's nothing you can't do. And America is the greatest country in the world. And I wish more people understood that. There's nothing you can't be or do here if you really want to do it. And I challenge that no matter what the color of your skin is. Now, there may be some ways of thinking that block you from seeing that and having that vision. But military gives that to you.
All right. Well, Eddie, we're going to do a lightning round before we ask people how they can connect with you. It's a fun way to end us off. If you're gonna pick, I just got 5 quick lightning round questions for you. I think I might know the answers, but some of them I don't know. You might surprise me. All right, you ready?
But before you do that, first of all, Alicia, Fern, I want to compliment both of you. Fern, you know how I feel about you. You have done more for more folks through your position than anybody I know. And you ain't, and excuse my language, me talking like it, you ain't never been scared to help somebody else. Now, you don't throw your pearls to swine. The Bible says that.
Amen.
But if you feel someone's going to come in and do a great job, you're gonna be an advocate, a mentor, and a sponsor to make sure that they're given the opportunity to serve and compete and win. And I want to personally thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
And Alicia, if you're sitting here with her, you got to be all right too. Trust me. I've seen Fern turn the switch on. I've seen her. It ain't happening. Goodbye. I've seen her understand her position, treasure her position, and help others do great things through her position. So I love Fern for that. I love her for that. I love her beauty. I love her grace. I love her genius.
Thank you.
And she knows how I feel.
Thank you, Fern. And I attest to that. She really does. She stands up. She believes in women and men as well. But I have seen and witnessed everything that you're saying, Eddie. So I ditto everything that you're saying. Fern, you mean a lot to us. And thank you for standing tall in our community. And thank you for your partnership.
Yeah, thank you. And Alicia's no one to sneeze at. She's a powerhouse as well. But I
can tell, absolutely.
But I want to make sure everyone knows and I appreciate the praise and I receive it. But it didn't happen without the grace of God. Parents who fed into me.
Amen.
And leaders like Ron Parker, who just passed away this February. I stand on their shoulders. And they poured into me, and I think that's the result. As others have poured into you as well, Alicia, we want to stand on their shoulders. And then as we climb, we want to lift as we climb and bring others along with us. So it's so important. The give back, I think we both have a passion around that give back. All right, you're not getting out of the lightning round, so here it goes. Okay, Knicks versus Nets.
Nets.
Knicks. Jets versus Giants.
Giants.
All right. Collard greens or cabbage?
Collard greens.
Yay. Okay, so is it rice and beans or peas and rice?
Neither. I don't like either. I don't like no rice and beans, and I don't like no peas and rice. I don't do that.
All right, so when Eddie B wants to recharge, is it beach or mountains?
Beach.
All day. You need to get that sun. You need to get that vitamin D in.
Amen. And C, all of it. That's right.
How can people connect with you, Eddie?
Well, of course, if you put in my name, Eddie Bright Jr., I'm like doo-doo all over the place. So that's I'm there.
You have roses everywhere.
Listen, you put in Eddie Bright, that's Eddie with an I-E, Bright Jr., I'm all over the place. But of course, Ed Bright at aptask.com is important. I serve a lot in my church, so I'm there. I lead a group called Impact, which is our men's fellowship. We have that every the first and third Sunday of every month. It's a leadership group. It's looking at the Word of God and how men can lead and grow, and it's a safe space as well. I go into the prisons twice a month, or every Tuesday, but 2 different prisons to share the Word. And I've got a little girl at home that knows how to slow me down, and I've been blessed. Don't know why she's still with me. I guess she saw me as a project and was willing to give me a shot. And
and then you have Gidget.
Yeah, well, we just got a French bulldog, and that little thing is but you know what? Here's funny. So here's the funny part. We've been married almost 30 years. And so I was like, honey, you won't let me get a dog. You won't let me get a dog. You won't let me get a dog. So she said, well, I'm not letting you get a dog because you travel so much for business. I'll be the one taking care of the dog.
Right.
So I had my wife retire last year. So she retired. So, I saw this dog in a barbershop, a French bulldog, and I took a picture home. My wife said, oh, she's so cute. She's so cute. So we got the French bulldog. Who do you think is taking care of it? She is. 'Cause
Yeah, but she bought into it.
so she bought into it. So and you know I didn't name the dog Gidget. You know my wife did that. You know where Gidget comes from. So, but she's full of energy. She's all over the house. She doesn't walk anywhere. She runs everywhere, and we are just so in love with her. We are just in love right now, and she's a piece of work. And if I call my wife now, how's Gidget? Oh, she's driving me crazy. But she plays with her all day long. But she's driving her crazy. So
well, we love. Well, I'm glad you love Gidget and the missus, and we love you, and we thank you for sharing this time with us.
Amen.
And so, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me,
Eddie.
Alicia. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Fern.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today. Listen, like, subscribe at L.I.T Chicks Podcast.
Remember, stay curious, stay bold, and always stay lit.
Woo-woo.